Last time on Linux Ball Z. What's good, everybody? My name is Ren. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about the Linus Tech Tips Linux Challenge. We're actually going to be talking about parts 1 through 3. Part 3 just released, I think, the day before I was recording this. I believe it released on Saturday, and I'm recording this the Sunday after. And I just finished watching part 3. I've been meaning to make a video about this for a while now. I just never got the time to write down a proper script in order to make like a full-on review and conversation about it. So I kind of just went, you know what, screw it. I'll make an off-the-cuff video about all 3 of them at once. I'm sure this will go well and that I won't stumble over myself all the time, constantly. I have a problem. And hey, if you like these weird and spontaneous videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit like, let me know you enjoyed it, and then hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Without further ado, let's get on into the video. So part 1 of the Linus Tech Tips Linux Challenge was about general setup and installing and all that sort of fun stuff, to which, you all know it now, Linus broke Pop! OS. Let's get the cat out of the bag. We all know I daily drive Pop! OS. I think it's fair that I say something on the matter, and that is that it was literally just a clusterfuck of bad timing on everyone's part. Linus went to install Steam on Pop! OS like the one time that the Steam package was broken. No one at Pop or Apt ever thought about the fact that, oh, wait, this could be confusing. I'm guessing that it just never went through their heads to think that like that could possibly be confusing, and so they just forgot about it until it was put such a huge spotlight on it, to which I would assume the reaction was just them freaking out, going like, oh god, oh no, oh, we have to fix this. I'm not trying to put blame on anyone. I think there are multiple people at fault, honestly, and at the end of the day, I think it's actually a smaller issue than people are letting it on to be. Yes, it is a major issue to have your entire desktop removed, but I think it was a very minor fix. I like the idea of being prevented from uninstalling your desktop stuff on stuff like Pop! OS, which are meant to be more user-friendly, and an app, which is usually on more user-friendly distros. I like that. Don't implement that in everything. For people who are using Arch, keep Pamac or Pacman or whatever it's called, keep that to where it can do whatever the hell it wants, because those are for power users. They're for people who know what they're doing and are willing to take that risk. Ubuntu and all these derivatives of it, they're more geared towards beginner users, being a lot more user-friendly, so they don't need to have the ability to do that, because these new users aren't going to know how to fix that, and they're going to have to reinstall their whole system. Not a fun time. As someone who's reinstalled a couple times, Linux is easier than Windows, but it's still a pain to do it. My cat is going insane. Okay. So yes, I do think that Linus was somewhat at fault for not reading the huge wall of text that was telling him what he was about to do. But at the same time, I also can't blame Linus, because it's a huge wall of text, and as someone who grew up using Windows, you're kind of desensitized to big blocks of text that are all the same color, because you skip through them a lot in Windows. Now, it seems that Luke had a much easier time with installing, because he went with Linux Mint, which seemed to just work, which is great. That installer thing he had, I personally haven't had it happen to me on anything I've installed distribution-wise, but I have heard from friends that it's happened to them, and typically it's just the live environment. After you install it, it's fine, and lo and behold, after he installed it, it was fine. That's probably all I'm gonna say on the first part, honestly. Generally, it was fine. Linus just had a really weird, really obscure, not obscure, that's the wrong word for it, just had a really weird issue with poor timing. It seems that he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. It did bring to spotlight a big issue with the apt package manager that has now been addressed, so that's good at least. It's good that they're finding these very weird issues and putting a spotlight on them, because then they're getting addressed, and Linux is becoming a better system because of it. Now on for part 2. Oh boy. Getting the games to run in Linux. They really struggled with that one. Apparently one of the games they were trying to do, the Steam version you couldn't do multiplayer, but the Lutras version you could? I think the native Linux version wasn't able to do it, or maybe it wasn't native. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what game it was, but that's bizarre that there was 2 different versions. Also, I'm kind of amazed they had a key for it both on Steam and off Steam, but they did seem to struggle with the game that I can't remember the name of it. God. Why can't I remember the name of it? It seems that they are definitely trying to go towards this with a Linux user's mindset, which annoys me to no end because there's a lot of stuff wrong with that. But at the same time, that's the whole point. The whole point of this challenge is whether or not a Windows user can just drop in replacement and use it right now. And honestly, no, they can't. They're getting a lot better. It's definitely getting a lot better, but it's not quite there yet. There's still a lot of weird wackiness with Linux that doesn't quite work right, but there is quite a lot that does work really well. And that's actually showcased very well in the third part, which we'll get to in a bit. Now, as for the hardware they were using in streaming, they seem to have some of the weirdest issues with OBS and with their stream stuff that I've never seen, and I don't know how they did it. For Luke, for example, he had this issue where his windows were super choppy moving them around while he was playing a game in full screen. I have literally never had this happen, and I'm very confused how he did this. Granted, pretty much every game I runs through Proton, so maybe that's what it is. I don't really have any Linux native games, at least I don't think. Let me actually look through. No, I do. I have Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is Linux native, and I never had that happen. So yeah, no, never mind. I have no idea what's happening. He's using GNOME, and I have played that on GNOME with the normal Pop Shell, or not Pop Shell, normal Pop OS desktop environment, and it seemed to be fine. And I've used it in KDE, which is what Linus is now using, and it seems to be fine. It's weird. I don't know. That one I haven't had happen. Also, their OBS issues were strange, such as, well, initially I thought it was strange that Linus was saying they didn't have the new NVEC encoder. I'm just sitting here like, it's right there. It's right there in your settings. It shows it right there. Then I later found out he meant the one that says NVEC parentheses new, which is a newer version that works a lot better. That is not in Linux. That's what he's referring to. I was so confused. I left a comment, I think others saying like, why is he talking about issues with NVEC? He's got it right there, or I've got it in mine by just installing it. And I was so confused as to why I was complaining about that. It's like, it's right there. Do you not see it? It's right there in your drop-down menu. But then I realized he's talking about the new version of it. And that's a legitimate complaint. The new version apparently works a lot better. I would probably benefit a lot from it. There was a whole thread on Twitter of actually, I think he's an NVIDIA developer, I want to say, talking about, actually, he was talking about VTubers and what they use and how the NVIDIA can help them make their systems better. I'm just like, new NVEC on Linux for us running really old hardware, please help. You've gotten a lot better, but please just a little more. And they liked my tweet, so that's something. I don't know what anything's going to come with that, but he liked it, so he saw it. I don't know, maybe he'll consider it. I'm one person, who knows? I'm not going to hold my hopes out, but I mean, maybe. Also, they seem to have a lot of issues with getting game captures to work, which has been the thing that I've had the most consistently working thing on Linux. I capture everything with a window capture or a screen capture, but typically a window capture. Everything. I do everything with a window capture. Even back on Windows, I did everything with window capture because I was using OBS before game capture was a thing, and I didn't want to swap all my sources, so I just kept using it, which was probably not the best idea. Game capture probably would have been a little more efficient, would have lurked a little better, worked a little better. I could speak, but lo and behold, that's what I did. So it seems that they've just been having very odd issues. I'm wondering if it's because of their systems, like their hardware. I highly doubt that's the case, but that's the only thing I can think of that could possibly be causing it. I don't know. It's very weird. The issue that Luke was describing, I believe, was that sometimes window capture would work and sometimes it just wouldn't, with no explanation as to why. The only time I've had that happen was when I've had 2 instances of OBS opened and I didn't realize one of them was, and then it wouldn't let me capture it because it was captured in another one. You can't share the video source. Annoying, but whatever. But that's been the only time I've seen an issue even similar to that. Was just there was another OBS process running on a different screen that I just couldn't see, and it was capturing something for some reason. So I couldn't share the capture. Other than that, I haven't really had a lot of issues with OBS. OBS has worked without a problem. I record video every week with it. I stream 3 times a week every week with it. Doesn't seem to have a lot of issues. Now, granted, a couple, I believe like a month or 2 ago, I swapped from the Ubuntu repo version to the OBS PPA. So I have the newest version just installed for my terminal, which is at time of recording, 27.1.3. I believe what they were using was the default version that came from their package manager, or from just the Ubuntu repository, or in Linus's case, the Arch user repository. Although I believe they both installed everything from their like graphical package manager, which is good. That's why it's there. It's super easy to use. It makes sense. But those are my thoughts on part 2 for the most part. They seem to just be having strange issues I never had, but they're not outside the realm of possibility. And if they are consistent issues. It's legitimate criticism. And I will say, I really appreciate them doing this series, and I really like how they're going about it. If you haven't figured out, it seems more so that the point of this challenge was not, can we swap to Linux and use it? It was, can the average Windows gamer use Linux as a drop-in replacement for everything they do? And the answer to that is just no, it's not. It is not a drop-in replacement. You have to relearn things. You have to change how you do things. You're not just going to install it and then you just keep doing everything exactly how you've been doing it. But I think that it can become user-friendly enough that it's not as big of a deal to relearn some stuff. It's just, instead of clicking this menu over here, you click this other menu over there. Those sort of things. It's just, stuff is a little moved around. You just got to refigure out where everything is, but at the end of the day, it can do the same stuff. I think it is just about to that point. The issue is whether or not you can either afford the time to relearn how you're doing or be bothered to relearn how to do everything. Because once you relearn how to do it all, it's just as easy, at least on something like Ubuntu, when you have the right layout, when you've figured out everything you need to do. The Linux installation process is a more time-consuming process, not because it takes longer to install or because there's a bunch of crap you have to add on. It's just because you need to figure out what you like and how you like to set it up. That's why all the Linux distributions come as live USBs. Plug it in, test your hardware, see what works, see if you even like how it's laid out. If you don't, change to another one. Try it out, see how your hardware works. See how you like if it's laid out. Keep going until you find one that clicks with you. That's why there's so many cool different choices. And that's why you can change it. Say you have everything that you like by default on this one distribution, you just don't like their interface, which was my case with Pop! OS. I'm just not a huge fan of the GNOME layout. And Cosmic is definitely a lot better. I will say that. Cosmic is a lot better than the GNOME layout they were using. I do like it more. Still not quite enough. I don't like it quite enough as compared to KDE, which gives me so much customization. God, I love customization options. It's kind of a problem, but that's why you can change your desktop environment and stuff like that. You can mix and match to make it work for you. Now, part 3, which is the part that I just finished watching, which was daily tasks. Luke had everything just work. Like literally, Luke just clicked stuff and it worked. It was fine. The one weird thing is that installing fonts, they clicked and dragged the font folder in they were installing, the folder for the font they were installing into the fonts folder in their system. And I have never done that on any OS ever. All I do is I just download a .ttf file or .otf file. I just double click it and click install. That's what I do every time. Linus had a bit more issues. He had some kind of legitimate complaints. There was one complaint that kind of got to me, which was that with his document signing, they did cited PDFs, one of the challenges. He was just like, I could figure this out if I had another half hour or hour, but it's clearly this is not something you do quickly and easily. I get why he's saying that. He couldn't get it done in 15 minutes. But the thing is that the stuff he was complaining about was prep work. It's stuff that he only had to do once and then he would never have to touch it again. That kind of got under my skin a little bit, but I understand the concern. He couldn't do it very quickly and easily, and when you're signing a document, you probably needed to work like that instantly and get it working. But it's one of those things that if he had just taken the time to set it all up and then tried to use it in under 15 minutes, it would have been fine. He just had a little bit of prep work he had to do for his program. Or he could have done what Luke did and just installed the same program that he used on Windows. Because the program Luke used for his document signing was also available on Windows, Mac, and Linux, just by default. So he just installed that and used it and it worked. So yeah, no, Luke had a much easier time, it seems. So it seems like for a new Windows user, go with Pop! OS or Linux Mint or one of these Ubuntu drivers because they seem so much easier. The other thing Linus was having issues with was zipping a folder. And he kept trying to figure out why is this thing called .zip bunch of random characters completely missing. Then in the corner, the file size was going up, which at the bottom of his 4K screen, it said that it was still compressed. It was a temporary file. And so he kept trying to rename it to make it the zip folder. He's like, why is it broken? It was just, that one was kind of funny. That wasn't really a complaint. I was like, he's not doing anything wrong. I just found it funny that he completely missed the fact that the file size was growing because it was a temporary file. It was still compressing. But yeah, for the most part, they got everything done. Linus had one other issue that I already forgot. I can't remember now that I'm recording this video. But again, it was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was another minor thing that it was just more so he just the 15-minute time allotment they gave themselves didn't account for prep work. That's really the only issue with part 3, is that they just didn't account for any prep work they might have to do. Other than that, they're doing great, honestly. They're on now their final week. Well, really, they're both back to Windows now. They're both done. Neither of them failed the challenge per se. They used it not all week or all month. Throughout the month of, I believe, October is when they were recording this, and then they've been editing it throughout November, and they're done. They both won. So, hey, good on them. They managed to get by it. I'm excited to see part 4. And if you're excited to see more Linux content, you can check me out over on twitch.tv/itsrogueren to watch me play games on Linux. Ha! Shameless plug! Nailed it! But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate each and every one of you coming back to watch all these videos, even though I'm not the greatest content creator, honestly, but hey, you seem to like it, so I'm gonna keep making them. Again, if you like the video, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell to get notified of uploads. Check me out over on Twitch. You can follow me on Discord. If you want to support this channel, you can support me over on Patreon. I'm also gonna have a link down below to my the same donation link I use on Twitch. So if people want to just do one-time donations from my YouTube channel, you definitely can. It'll be through Stream Elements. Yeah, if you check me out over on Patreon, you get videos a couple days early for most weeks. There are a couple weeks where I am unable to get a video recorded until the day before, which is what happened last week. But for the most part, I tend to upload videos early on Patreon around Tuesday or Wednesday, and then they'll go live on YouTube on Friday. So thank you guys so much for watching again. I really appreciate all of you, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.